Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, Canada has labelled the Proud Boys a terrorist entity. Yes, and this is from the BBC, so of course they label them far right. So let's kick it off with saying, defund the BBC. And this isn't a baseless claim, so without further ado, how about we get into it? So, Canada has designated the so-called far-right group Proud Boys a terrorist entity. And first things first, how about we define terms? So, what is far right? Well, it might actually be easier to define what far left is. We can all agree that that's communism, and some would say the far right is fascism or Nazism. So, okay, cool. So, communism is state-owned. Yep, you try and say communal, just like you say, oh, democracy, that's voting, isn't it? It's like, not quite. Demos is in people, so democracy is the will of the people. So that doesn't actually mean voting. That's why Adolf Hitler thought that his state was democratic, because it's just following the will of the people. Just some people are valued more than others. So yes, communism is the state-owned means of production, and therefore they're going to interfere with everything, because apparently socialism is just a stepping stone to get to communism. But of course, power corrupts, and therefore people in those positions of power tend to really fuck over the individual citizens. So, okay, right, so communism is government control of everything. That's where it ends up. Cool. So, far right, that's going to be opposite. Yep. So, is it going to be fascism? What's that? Well, that's the entanglement of corporations and government. In which case, no, it's not, because again, that's governmental control, that the corporations can only succeed if the government permits them to, in which case that's just an extension of government. So again, that swings over to the left. And then National Socialism, what's that? Well, that's socialism with closed borders. Oh, so it's socialism again, because the only way to have a welfare state is with closed borders. You can't have other people coming in, and even Friedman said that. Right. So again, that's socialism, and that's known as left wing. So right wing, well, what's that? Well, that's smaller government. So far right, let's push it to the extreme. What is the most extreme of small government? Well, it's anarchy. Surely it's absolutely no government whatsoever. So that's what far right means. Except, of course, calling them neo-fascist. And fascist, of course, comes from fascio, which is Latin, well then Italian, as in a bundle of sticks. The English term, derivative, is faggot, as in bundle of sticks, because united we stand, divided we fall. So it's all about the collective again. So again, collective, right, and that's because of government control, because they're using force to assert their dominance. Right, might is right, which makes them left wing again. Okay, so to try and say far right, neo-fascist, it's like, neo, that's new. What's changed about the fascism? It hasn't. Right, so that's a redundant term. So they're not far right at all. And let's say you pick a left-wing policy, which is, okay, people are going to be treated because of law and government mandating this, whatever it might be. You might decide that it's national health care. You might decide that it's civil rights, even. You know, let's pick something that isn't so divisive. Okay, cool. And how's this going to be enforced? So you're saying then you're treating people based on colour of their skin. It's like, right, well that's based on law, and that's back to government, and the more they enforce it, the bigger the government gets. Right, so we're seeing that to its natural conclusion, and you end up with a bigger government, you end up with communism. What about something that's more right-wing? Okay, lesser taxes. Cool, so lower taxes. Right, so let's take that, so it's logical conclusion, it's extreme if you will, no taxes at all, right, and you end up with Nazism, except you don't, do you? No. Okay, fine. Civil rights, so people treated equally from the law, except of course that's not how it ends up, but let's go with it. So okay, cool. So right wing is that the government doesn't get involved and people can pick and choose how they wish in their own business. So it ends up with well, it doesn't though, does it? Because the government's not enforcing anything. That's the point, is the lack of government. Right. So if you wish to use left and right, it seems bigger government just ends up left-wing. If you decide that it's useless, then stop using the term far right as a scare tactic, because there isn't any clear indication of what it means. It's like, oh, it's racist. Right, so white supremacist is far right. Right, okay. Black supremacist. Where are they? Far right, far left. Oh, they're not. Okay. Asian supremacist. Where are they? Oh, they're not. Okay. Islamic supremacist. Where are they? They're not. Male supremacist. Female supremacist. Where are they? Oh, they're not. Right. In which case, white supremacist is a fucking shit term in order to decide if someone is right or left wing. I'm glad we could get that conversation out of the way. So, with that in mind, that the only reason they're using far right is a scare tactic, because it literally means nothing, if I call somebody far left, I can explain the policies and why it means that they are far left. If someone's trying to say far right, how is that just further along of the conservative ideology? And this is one of the few times I even disagree with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson to say, oh, we all know, where you cross the line when it comes to right-wing ideology. So, oh, do we? So, yeah, we end up with Nazis. And how's that then? Give me something conservative about Nazism. I dare you. And you might be saying, oh, family unit. So, oh, right, okay, cool. So that's why they had their Wunderchild or Wunderkind policy, where they took children away from their parents. Right. Or enforced marriages and then mass rape. Yeah, that's not very conservative to me. If you're trying to enforce, or you're trying to encourage the family unit and people picking their partners. But maybe I'm wrong. By all means, go ahead in the comments down below. But I know you guys wouldn't. You know too much already. Preaching to the choir here. So, Public Safety Minister, that's a fucking shit position, isn't it? Bill Blair said the decision was influenced by the group's pivotal role in the 6th of January riots at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And what was their pivotal role? Well, don't you know that? Let's skip down. We'll come back to it. It's fine. I'm all about openness and honesty here. That their pivotal role, because of just how much they supported Trump, that when Trump said you should stand back and stand by, that they saw that, as I say, members of the group online took it as a call to prepare for action. They say Trump later distanced himself from them, which he shouldn't have done. He should have just stood up and said, no, it's fucking bullshit. But okay, they thought, apparently, that the Proud Boys, developed by Gavin McInnes, as a joke as it happened, because it's Proud to be a Boy from Aladdin musical 2011 or 12, when he saw his daughter's recital, just thought, this is the worst song I've ever heard, but I can't get it out of my head. And then he made a joke at the pub with one of his friends, saying, oh, he's such a proud boy. And then it just spiraled a bit from there. But fine. So they're really loyal to Trump then, apparently. That's it. Cool. So, of course, Trump was saying, we will peacefully protest and patriotically protest and make our voices heard. Right. So he was saying that, but of course the storming of the Capitol happened concurrently, if not before the end of his speech anyway, when he was talking to his supporters. So then they wouldn't have been supporting him because they weren't listening to him, or they were supporting him, not listening to him, and then ignoring what he was saying. That doesn't sound like a very ardent supporter. So again, that falls down. But okay, they're a terrorist group because they're white supremacist. Right, that's why Enrique Tarrio, the Afro-Cuban from Miami, is the chairman and has been since 2018. And he's not white at all. Okay, fine. That doesn't make sense. How about this? There was a member, and this is just, taken straight from Wikipedia, why not, who decided that he would help with the Unite the Right rally, which was supposedly more of a dog whistle to Nazis again, or neo-Nazis if you wish. Jason Kressler. And so the response from apparently the fascist or Nazi, because they used interchangeably even though they're not the same thing, and look at the Imperator or Tick if you want to break down the difference between the two. He organised that. So what was the response? Well, as you see, he was expelled from the movement. That's pretty shit. That's not a good example. It's like, okay, what else can we use? They've got a violent history. Yeah, and they've even had interactions with police. So, wow, okay, what was this? Well, it was at protests, at rallies. Okay, what happened there? So, well, actual fascists turned up, as an Antifa, and other communists. And just like we've seen over the summer, where they've caused billions of dollars of damage across the United States, they tried attacking innocent civilians there as well. And the Proud Boys thought, well, we're not having any of that because the police aren't doing their job. And therefore, we're going to defend ourselves and those we love. And then the police got involved. So as Antifa scarpered away and ran away from the police and law enforcement, you know what the Proud Boys did to the police? Yeah, they peacefully surrendered and fully cooperated. And for that, quite a few members received jail time. Because the law's not fair. But nonetheless, there is video footage of all this, and it's very easy to find as well. It's just YouTube doesn't really like it, so I can't really show it here. And I'm like, okay, fine, there must be something else. Okay, well, how did the BBC characterise them? How do they? So they say it's all male, anti-immigrant, and has a history of violent political confrontations. We've finished with the violent political confrontations. That's all explained. So it's all male. I was like, yeah, it is. Clues in the name, Proud Boys. Like the Boy Scouts, except that's not allowed to be all male anymore. So, yeah, they're an all-male group. Is that bad? Is that evil? Or is it? Is it bad to have male members? Is there something bad based on someone's sex that should be stamped out? Or can individuals make their own decisions? Or is there just something inherently evil about being all male? Whereas, of course, if it was all female, it's something to be lauded and applauded. Oh, but no, all male is bad. Right, okay. Anti-immigrant, and you might be thinking, oh, well, this is where the National Socialist comes from. So, okay, right. And what's the point of anti-immigrants? Well, it's far easier to help somebody in somebody else's country than it is in your own. 27 times more effective. Well, that kind of makes sense then, doesn't it? So, okay. Damn. Right. And the mix of cultures doesn't really work, as Enoch Powell put it so well so many decades ago, and he seems like his own Nostradamus at this point, really, doesn't he? If only he could see the world today. Then again, I suppose it's good that he wasn't able to see his predictions come true. So that mind, for those who don't know about the Proud Boys, how would the unbiased BBC, and this is where it really gets to defund the BBC, how do they, phrase them to put them into groups of others? So they say that Canada is the first country to give the Proud Boys a terrorist designation, and they were only happy to do that once Biden took office, of course. That's why it's happened today. Two other far-right US groups, Atomwaffen Division, which, for what it's worth, does have another name, which is the National Socialist Order. How many members? Well, from Wikipedia, about 200 globally, around the world. 80 in the US, and then just so nice when they put this, for Canada, Germany, and the UK, several dozen. So, clearly not many folks in there. Right, and then the base, which is the other one, from what I can see, about the same. They've got a few dozen likes at most on Twitter posts and social media posts, for example. So, yeah, at best you've got a couple hundred. Right, Proud Boys, quite a few more. Tens of thousands. Hardly surprised, really, considering they're not similar at all to the aforementioned groups, but they're just trying to lump them in with so-called far-right groups which call themselves socialist. But hey, they don't. BBC doesn't like them, therefore they're far-right, because right-wing means bad and left-wing means good. Quite blatant. But who else? Just because you might not know them, but Atomwaffen, that's German, therefore that's definitely bad. Who else? Give us a group that we might know, that we can link Proud Boys, as in trying to say that men aren't evil, and that was the original idea coined by Kevin McInnes, of course, and saying that, no, actually, maybe it's good that we do see a strong man, and that the dissolution of the family environment isn't a good thing, and that maybe importing a load of immigrants in order to get a better voting base isn't such a good thing, and the cheap labour isn't such a good thing for the natives, and maybe there are things that you would call toxic masculinity that actually could be embraced and are made the world great. Maybe. But for a group that encompasses those values, who are they similar to then? Who are they similar to? Well, of course, they're just like other groups designated by Canada as terrorist entities, like several affiliates of the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda. Yep. Apparently, saying that Enlightenment values are worthwhile, and actually wanting a cohesive family unit, not wanting to fall to communists, and not wanting the government to control every step of your life, put you in line with Al-Qaeda. Fucking brilliant, BBC. Yeah. Fucking great. Trying to say that men aren't evil is the same as... what? Raping female prisoners of war. Right, okay. Cool. Saying that the values of your country help to change the world in a better place to make people more tolerant and accepting is the same as torturing people who don't agree with you. No, this isn't Guantanamo Bay, this is Al-Qaeda again. So, okay, right. Saying that you've got disagreements with other people, but you're happy to hear what they have to say, is the same as waging war against them and happily blowing yourself up in order to take a few of them with you. This is a false equivalence if ever I've seen one. But it's the kind of level that the BBC will go to. And you've got to think, this is on BBC's Most Read. People are going to read this, not really knowing much about the Proud Boys. And so what do? Well, they go, oh, well, even Trump's out of office. And of course, they're going to try and impeach him again in order to ensure that he can't run in 2024 because they're fucking shit scared about what would happen then. And so they're trying to slander him even when he's not there. And, oh, hey, here's another group. And now that Biden's in charge, who said Antifa is an idea, even though they caused billions of dollars of damage in the US, he's going to do fuck all about them. And so if Canada comes out against the Proud Boys, he's not going to give a shit. In fact, he's probably going to tacitly encourage them. So then the BBC can use that and slander them as much as possible in order to drag Trump as well. And so that, oh, don't you try thinking about the Proud Boys, because don't you know that their site has already been taken down by Google Cloud Services and the like, and if you go now, it's just Donald Trump dancing on Saturday Night Live as a GIF, and that's all that you find on their website. So don't even try finding them or getting them to defend themselves. No, because otherwise you would have to go down so many rabbit holes of places like Stefan Molyneux, podcast of the Lotus Eaters or Sargon of Akkad, and Tim Pool, where they've been speaking with these people. Or you might find Gavin McInnes himself with his Get Off My Lawn. Then you might stumble into Marley Yiannopoulos. And who knows what kind of rabbit hole of truth that might send you down. And we can't have that. So let's just dismiss them straight out and say, you wouldn't want to be looking at Al-Qaeda stuff, would you? No. And therefore you can't be learning about the Proud Boys either. So it's damage control at the end of the day. And that's why I do read the BBC. In order to encourage the rest of you to ensure that you have cancelled your licence fee. You don't even need to own a television. There's far better stuff online available anyway. But also, for those of you with family or parents or friends that might actually use the BBC, to be aware of what they're learning or what they're dogmatically being told. And so it's hardly surprising if you try and have a conversation with them about facts and reals that they're not going to understand where you're coming from, because they haven't seen anything at all that is remotely honest. So it's good to stay informed, not only for yourself but also for the people that you're trying to speak to. But as always, that's it from me. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think other countries are going to try and take the initiative as well, or that it's just Justin cucked Trudeau, Justin black-faced Trudeau, of course, but that ain't going to be picked up because that's not important? And as Stefan Molyneux has pointed out time and time again, that yeah, of course the ones that empower are hypocritical, but that's the point. What's the point in being in power if you can't be hypocritical? If you can't show a difference in status between you and the lowly plebeians, you know, the constituents, who don't really matter because you'll just buy votes from illegally imported aliens, then if you can't show a distinction between yourself and them, and you can't, you know, take a load of bribes in order to change laws to help your wealthy mates who have just stolen from the poor in the first place, and then change laws to pull the ladder up behind them, what's the point? So yeah, that's it for me. So until next time, have a good one.